everyone, and welcome to another episode in the Carving Axe review series. Today we're talking about an axe from a Danish blacksmith by the name of Hans Peter Knudsen. He is the blacksmith at Landvirke forge in Denmark, and this one here is his Bergmann model, which basically means mountain man in English. It is a rather heavy carving axe with a pretty long blade that comes with a black leather sheath, just like his other models, that is made from compressed German leather. I put all the specs as usually. We have quite a beast of a carving axe. As you can see, we're having quite a beast of a carving axe. I'm gonna put all the specs in the beginning of the video and in the description, as usually. We're having quite a long beard on this axe and a long cutting edge. The profile is not exactly thick, but it has quite a heavy eye and pull that slims down and tapers very nicely into the bit, which is followed then in this case by about 32-degree bevel. I've worked with the bevels a little bit, so when they came they were quite convex and a little bit steeper, but I've just altered them slightly, and all of the things that I do with these axes that I got from Hans Peter, after I'm testing them, and like Jeff here at Noble Woodcraft is testing them, we do our own little modifications on them, and I liken our carving axe at about 30-32 degree angle for the bevels. It has quite a lot of punch to it. Like I said, we're having a really beautifully upswept axe bit, quite distinct Viking style I would call it, with a beard that comes low down, but in the case of this axe, the beard does not stay really far away from the handle. Actually, the axe is curving back quite far to the handle, but because we have this nice cutout here, this very rounded beard, which is executed beautifully. There is no sharp edges on this axe whatsoever. Everything is symmetric, everything is shaped with a lot of attention to aesthetical detail as well as function. So the axe bit itself is quite heavy and does a very great job, especially when we're doing paddle carving, where we need to remove a lot of material, since we're starting with a board and then I hew it out into the final shape. As well, when I do bowl blanks, where I start of course with a bigger half log and then I do a crude shape before I put it on the lathe, this kind of axe comes in handy. So this is what I would use it for. As well, cooking spoons, where again I have a bigger half log that I'm working down, or a bigger billet, bigger radial blank split out of a bigger log, where there is quite a lot of stock removal. I really like an axe like this. Although this axe head, the bit is quite heavy, and I would really call it a medium to heavy carving axe, because of the big pommel or the big counterweight back here, we're actually moving the balance point about an inch back from what I'm used to on axes. Usually I'm quite used in carving axes that the balance point is right behind the head. In this case we're really going about an inch, 2.5, nearly 3 centimeters back, and it's here, which means that at the area where you usually, or most people, hold a one-handed carving axe when we carve spoons and things like that, we don't really hold them far back here. We also don't hold them necessarily right behind the head. Usually it would be, for me at least, and for a lot of people I know, it would be right in the middle of the handle, where the handle starts to slope forward. So this gives a very nice feel, especially for carving, for slicing motion. And the whole balance point moves a little bit closer to my hand. That makes this axe, although it's on the heavier side, it doesn't make it feel as head heavy, you know, if that makes sense. And that makes a difference if you're carving a lot of blanks a day, you know. Even a small axe, even a lighter axe, if the handle and the axe is not balanced in a certain way, it might feel very head heavy, although it's actually a light axe, and that can strain your tendons and can cause a little bit of problems like I'm going over in another one of my videos where I'm talking about tendonitis and, you know, other injuries of that kind that occur when you craft a lot, and, you know, just over time, you know, grinding down your joints. And so anyways, I found this a very interesting feature about this axe. Another interesting feature is the beautifully crafted handle. It has this middle ridge here. It's just in general very beautifully made with a lot of little details, and it's made from a beautiful piece of wood, which is actually a piece of curly ash. It has curly grain up here. So in general, this axe is just a beautiful piece, just like the other axes by Hans-Peter Knudsen and Landvirke Forge. This axe is actually made from a mild steel bit with an inserted spring steel edge, or like for the blade part. On this one you can't even see it, but it's forge welded in. So basically, Hans-Peter forges the bit and the eye first, and then he opens up kind of a sandwich in the mild steel, and he wedges in a piece of spring steel. Then he forge welds it with a hammer, not even with a hydraulic hammer or anything, but by hand with a hammer. And yeah, so these axes are beautifully made just with a hammer and an anvil, very traditionally, and in Denmark, which is pretty much the home of the Viking axe, if you wanna say it that way. So I just want to give you guys a quick impression of how this axe performs. I just have a piece of birch here and a mallet from lilac, which I find not really nice for carving, but it makes some great mallets. So I'm just gonna split this. I would split it for a little eating spoon. Piece with branch in it is gonna go, and so now I just have my spoon blank here. When you carve with this axe, you feel like you really only have to lift it and then let it fall into place. And it just works for you. As I say in my axe carving tutorial video, keep the pommel down, work with a slicing motion, don't work out of your wrist, work out your whole arm, and let the axe do the work as well. Keep it nice in the middle of your chopping block or in the rear half, so if you miss, the axe doesn't come your way. I find this axe to be very, very efficient because it slices like a champion. And has the weight and the punch behind it. So you can actually let the axe do the work. And if you need to, you can just chalk up on the axe very, very nicely with this beautiful beard. Okay everyone, I hope I could give you a little bit of impression about this axe, the Bergmann by Landvirke Forge out of Denmark. Like I said, there's definitely a lot of advantages to this axe. First of all, the construction, it's overall of course an absolutely beautiful piece. The attention to details is amazing. You get a completely hammer forged, handmade tool that is gonna be with you for the rest of your life. It is a laminated construction, as I said, piece of mild steel with a piece of spring steel forged in. Ash handle, aesthetically very, very pleasing. The pawl is resting nice in the hand. You have enough space for your hand behind the bit in this nice roomy beard. And at the same time, the distance between the blade and the eye is not very long, which is very important for stability. There are a couple of things that I found not perfect for myself, which is that these ridge lines on the handles are aesthetically very beautiful, but when you carve with the axe a lot, they don't seem to be 100% functional, or in a way even a little bit uncomfortable. The pommel is very nice and big, but for medium hands like mine, my hands are not small, but they're also not very big, so I would call them medium hands, and it's nearly impossible for me to get a nice grip back here. So there is an advantage to this very big fawn's foot on the back, but there is also a disadvantage. Another thing that for a carving axe that I didn't find perfect for me in the beginning was that I needed to reprofile the axe head a little bit, because it was a little bit too convex for my liking, and it tended to bounce out of cuts a little bit. Now that we modified that a little bit and tested it both out, we actually found it very, very functional. All of these little points of criticism and these little things that I found not perfect for myself, I just forward all of them to Hans-Peter. He's an incredible blacksmith, and just as I don't know very much about forging, or I'm just at the very beginning of my forging journey, let's say it like that, not every blacksmith can know all the details about the axes and how the craftsman wants the axes and the handles and everything to be shaped. Another thing is that the axe handle is the smallest problem. If you're a craftsman, you don't like your handle, or you want to reshape it, go ahead and reshape it. Go ahead, get rid of the ridge line, whatever, take the axe handle out, just make your own handle. All of these things are very possible, and of course they make the tool that much more of your own, and make it that much more custom made to your needs. And people like Hans-Peter, especially at the price point of a custom axe like this, they would always go ahead and try to work with the customer, react to requests and inquiries and everything. So I don't really see any problem about the little cons that I saw about this axe. Yeah folks, if you want to, just go ahead and browse my channel. All of the techniques that I just really briefly demonstrated today to actually show this axe off, you can as well find in other videos on my channel, where I demonstrate carving with an axe, spoon carving, different knife techniques, and check my other reviews as well about other axes, hook knives, etc. And yeah, I just hope you had a good time watching. It's always great to have feedback, so if there's something about my videos you really don't like or you would like me to change, then go ahead, because after all I make these videos for you guys. And yeah, I would be really happy if you just leave me a happy thumb and subscribe to my channel, and wish you a great one, and I'm gonna see you next time. Cheers.